A pleasant morning to one and all present here. We are so glad to gather here for 2 days online workshop on SPSS. On behalf of Department of Commerce, Kalaslingam Business School, CAT, I extend my warm welcome all of you for today's session. Wisdom comes not from age, but from education and learning. Learn as if you were not reaching your goal and as though you were scared of missing it. Now I would like to invite Dr. S. Rani, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to deliver her welcome address.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Glad welcome. It's a glad welcome we bring to you this morning, filled with the desires, hopes, and dreams we all share. On behalf of Commerce Department, I extend my massive welcome to our Chief Guest, Dr. V. Gautam Raj, Assistant Professor, GR Damodaran Academy of Management, Coimbatore. I heartily welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
I hope the program will be great and successful, sir. And also,
Sure.
I hope we will enjoy the program. I heartfelt welcome our Deputy Dean and HOD of MBA, Dr. R. Vijay, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. And also, I welcome Head of MSW, Dr. Ramya, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. Next, I am delighted to welcome our Department Head, Dr. G. Ramesh Pandey. Heartily welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I would like to express our warm welcome to all of you from various colleges and universities for your active participation to this workshop and our heartfelt thanks to join with us. Thank you for being here and for bringing your energy, ideas, and expertise. Welcome you all once again. And also, I want to give special thanks to our steering and organizing committee who initiated these workshops is dedicated. Last but not least, I willing-hearted welcome our family of Kalasalingam Business School faculty members. Thank you all so much and a warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now I wish to invite Dr. G. Ramesh Pandey, Associate Professor, Head, Department of Commerce, Kalaslingam Business School, CAT, to give an inaugural address.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to another present here. First of all, I would like to thank the Chancellor, both Vice Presidents, Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Dean of Kalaslingam Business School, and Deputy Dean of Kalaslingam Business School, and faculty members of Kalaslingam Business School, and all the participants for granted permissions to organize a 2-day online workshop on software package for social sciences. Actually, I'm very happy to give an inaugural address for this 2 days online workshop. As a professor, as well as the researchers, we need a research mind. So in order to improve our research mind, or in order to find the solutions for the problem, we need some computerized technology as well as the ideas and strategies. So SPSS is one of the computer application software which is used by the researchers for calculating and manipulation of data in order to finding the solution to your problem. So this topic, even though it is a traditional one, it is essential for the researcher to update our research mind. That is why our organizers as well as the organizing team chosen the topic for the beneficiary of all the researchers as well as the professors. I am very happy to inaugurate the 2 days workshop with all your support and blessings. I'd like to invite Dr. V. Gautam Raj, Assistant Professor, GR Damodaran Academy of Management, Coimbatore. He is going to act as today's resource person, and he is going to deliver more informative messages regarding the software package and social sciences. Sir, on behalf of the Kalaslingam Business School, a warm welcome for you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, without support of the participants, we can't stand in the victory stand. So I express my sincere and heartfelt welcome as well as gratitude to all outside participants because you are always supporting for us. We are conducting so many events. Last month we conducted 1 day, 1 week faculty development programs and 4 webinars. For all the programs, dear outside participants, you are always giving your support with us. So the Kalasalingam Business School of Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education is also welcoming you all for this events. So I hope this 2 days workshop will be very beneficial for all the participants inside the Kalasalingam Business School as well as the outside Kalasalingam Business School. With this speech, let me thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to inaugurate the today's workshop. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Dr. R. Selvakumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to introduce our chief guest.
Thank you, ma'am. Lesson, good morning to all of you. Once again, on behalf of our Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education, the Department of Commerce, faculty members and students, I wholeheartedly extend my warm welcome you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your accepting our invitation and responded here and spending your valuable time for us. Thank you for your valuable presence here, sir. I have immense pleasure to introduce our today's chief guest. He has completed Bachelor of Business Management degree in RVS College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. He has completed this MBA program in RVS Institute of Management Studies. He has completed his PhD program in BSMED, Bardiyar University. He is having more expertise knowledge in human resource management. He was worked as a finance and business associate in IBM India Private Limited, Chennai. He had worked as assistant professor in Karpagam Academy of Higher Education for the past 3 years. Now he is working as an assistant professor in GR Damodaran Academy of Management, Coimbatore. He is having the area of interest in leadership, organizational behavior, and other related field in HR. He has published many research papers in various national, international, and Scopus industry journals. He has attended various guest lecture, skill development programs, and faculty development programs in different fields. He has acted as a resource person for the various guest lecture, skill development programs, and faculty development programs. Such a nice, eminent personalities is being with us. Once again, we wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir. The chief guest of the day, Dr. V. Gautam Raj. He is a very amazing personality, a man of the chief men. A man has gone a long way and has learned a lot. And today when he's here, he shall tell his knowledge, and I'm sure you are going to benefit when he speaks. It's substance and something that shall be very useful to you all. Now I request our chief guest, Dr. V. Gautam Raj, to give a keynote address.
Yes, thank you so much for your warm welcome. It's immense pleasure for me to meet you all through this webinar platform. I thank the management of Kalasalingam University and all the department faculties and the organizers, Mr. Ramkumar, and all persons those who have been as a backbone for this workshop. It's immense pleasure for me to act as a resource person and to meet all the participants from the various colleges and institutions. Even research scholars also there. So it's happy for me to be there in the platform. So this session, how much it is important for being a researcher or being in a faculty. It is now as of now in academic, it is not just an important for being a faculty. We also be as a researcher as well. So it is being a faculty, we need to learn and relearn again and again. So that is most important in this current academic field. So happy to be in this part. um, thank you so much for your warm welcome. I'm just overwhelmed with the welcome which has been given by the institution. Thank you so much. So shall we start the session?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. First, it is purely about introduction to SPSS. The things which we gonna cover here in this presentation, today's presentation is it is before we entering into SPSS, we need to know what are the basic things before we starting for an analysis. So it is purely about the scalings and which we use in questionnaire. So we start this presentation with the what are the different types of scaling method which is there, and with the help of the scaling, how we gonna use these techniques for further analysis, for which type of scale, which type of analysis has to be used. That will be will be seeing in this presentation. And also I'll be telling you people how to enter the data in SPSS, and what are the basic things, basic requirement is needed, and what are the basic analysis that we'll be carry forwarding, like descriptive statistics, normality test. All those things will be carried out today in today's session. So first, being in social science, like being in a social science research, like it is more important, like gathering of information and performing an analysis to determine the data mean, like and the data which we collect, probably the predominant way of the research which we do is quantitative method, like where we deal with all lot of numbers. For example, even if you take marketing, we do a study about attitude, behavior, and something like that, customer satisfaction, like that. And if you take HR, it is purely like customer satisfaction, performance, emotional intelligence, leadership, on all those things. And if you take finance, where we deal with, there are behavioral finance is also there, and as well as secondary data which is there, like price, income, and all those stuff. So all the social science research, it is purely with the numbers. So collecting the numerical values and converting into the forms to do analysis is the most important part in our research. And we, to start with the basic, in a questionnaire we'll be having different types of scale we need to adopt it. So the measurement scale, it has been broadly classified into two. One is non-metric data and metric data. So if you take in non-metric data, we have two different types, that is nominal, or it is otherwise called as, like in a researchers colloquial language, it is otherwise called as categorical variable. And another non-metric, it is known as ordinal data. And whereas in metric we have two different types, it is interval and a ratio scale. We'll discuss one by one. So first, in non-metric, the nominal scale, what does it mean? It is nothing but like it is assigning a number to a label to identify a subject or an object. That is what it is known as a nominal scale. For example, how we number like Sachin Tendulkar is 10, or Dhoni is 7. For example, for our students, we give what to say, like register number. So such a way, like if it is just assigning a number for one particular thing. So as per here in research perspective, in questionnaire, how this nominal scale, it is like all the demographic questions which will be comes under nominal scale. For example, like gender, age, experience, and what all things that we ask as in a demographic question with different options, it is comes under nominal scale. For example, for male, when we are coding our data into SPSS, what we'll do, for male we'll assign 1, and for female we'll assign 2. And in age group we have 4 different groups. For below 25, 1, and 25 to 32. So likewise, it is just an assigning number. So this is called as a nominal scale. And next is ordinal. So this ordinal scale, it is nothing but it is purely about the ranking. For example, how we do rank based, if we want to buy a product, so we do rank of certain things. For example, for me, price is one of the main motive. First rank I give for price, and features is that second rank I will give. The same way, each and every person's ranking, it will be differed. So if we use a questionnaire like in a ranking, it is known as an ordinal scale. And in under metric, the first important is interval scale, which is predominantly used in marketing, HR, and even in the behavioral finance or in operations. Whatever we do, this interval scale plays a major important role. So it is like to measure a person about their performance or about their satisfaction in a Likert scale. Okay, so normally the Likert scale, it is a 5-point scale which has been given by the person Likert, and we do have different types of scaling, semantic scaling, and all those stuff. It is have 7-point scale, 10-point scale, which is there. So that is known as interval scale, where we give like for strongly disagree 1, for disagree 2, and neutral, and agree and strongly agree. This is the 5-point scale variable in the interval scale. And the last one is a ratio scale. The ratio scale, it is nothing but it is a purely, we need to measure the exact particular thing of a person. Like for example, if we want to know the exact weight of a person, instead of giving an options or exact height of a person. Okay, so if we ask it as an open-ended question, that is known as a ratio scale. So there is a difference between like interval scale and ordinal scale. The thing is, here also we rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas here in the interval scale also it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a difference in both in ordinal and interval scale. The ranking here, it is, for example, how do we rank our students based on the score which they gained. For example, if a first person who have scored 99, and second person who have scored 97, and third person is 90. So the difference between the person score, it is varying, like 99 to 97 1, and 98 to 97 is 1, or 90 will be 7. So the difference between the scores is different. But whereas if you take in an interval scale, the difference between 1 and 2 is 1, and difference between 2 and 3 is 1, and 3 and 4 is 1, and 4 and 5 is 1. So this is the difference between interval scale and ordinal scale. So this is just an introduction about the scaling. Okay, and now we go with variable. If we want to go for SPSS, we need to know what is dependent variable and what is independent variable. So first, can you please, someone please mute your mic? Others, please mute your mic, please. Here, what is called as a variable? The variable which represents a person or an object that can be manipulated, controlled, and merely measured. Okay, so that is these three important words, like it can be manipulated, it can be controlled, and it can be merely measured for the sake of a research. So that is known as a variable, which is varying. Okay, so we have two different types of variable which is predominantly used. Even we can have like people, those who are known with research, we called as moderating variable, mediating variable. But predominantly in research, we use two different variables. One is independent variable and dependent variable. The independent variable, it is that you believe that which it will influence your outcome measure. Okay, we know that we know very well, like our job satisfaction will have an influence on job performance. So here the job satisfaction has been considered as an independent variable, and I very well know that it will be get influenced on the performance. So since the performance, it depends on the job satisfaction, so it is known as a dependent variable. A variable which is depends or influenced by any other independent variable, it is called as a dependent variable. So here job satisfaction as a independent variable, and employee performance as a dependent variable. So this is just an example. So what are the different types of analysis which is there? Like we have broadly classified it as univariate, bivariate, and multivariate. Univariate, it is like if you use only one particular variable and do analysis, it is known as univariate variable. And if we do analysis by comparing two different variables, it is bivariate analysis. And multivariate analysis, it is combination of more than two groups of two variables. It is known as multivariate analysis. So in today's SPSS session, I'll be concentrating only be like univariate and a few things of bivariate analysis. So what is univariate analysis? Like, it is exploring each and every variable in the data set separately that describes the pattern of a response to the variable. It describes each variable of its own. Like, if you go for percentage, like frequency analysis, or if you go for mean and standard deviation, these are example of univariate, where we'll consider only one variable. For example, if I want to know how much male is there in my study and how much female is there in study, I'll go for percentage analysis. Actually, it is not percentage analysis, it is just a calculation method. So I'll be just knowing the frequency, how much members are there. So that can be done only for categorical variable. Even we can go for percentage analysis for Likert scale item as well. But normally we'll do it like for all the question, we'll go for percentage analysis. But as per my suggestion, when you're going for thesis work or your dissertation work or research work, it is not mandatory like you need to go for percentage analysis for your whole questionnaire or all the demographic questionnaire. So I can suggest you, like, you can have the percentage analysis for required demographic profile, and as well as you feel which is important, like this question is making sense when I go for a percentage analysis. So in that is the case, you can go for percentage frequency analysis. And for metric, for interval scale, strongly agree, disagree. For such scale, we can go for mean and standard deviation. So this is a broad classification. Like central tendency, we can go for mean, median, mode. Variation, like variation, standard deviation, range, and percentile, we can go for it. And for distribution, normal distribution, uniform and exponential, plots, histogram, box plot, and stem plot. So these are, we can consider for the metric variables, I mean like interval scale. So in this categorical variable, we can go for frequencies, and we go for frequencies in percentage, and plots like bar graph and pie graph and all those stuff. So this is broad classification about univariate analysis. Now we'll see what is SPSS. Like SPSS, it is known as like Statistical Package for Social Science, and it was first launched in the year 1968. It was developed by IBM SPSS Statistics. It is a most user still just refer like SPSS. It has been predominantly used for statistical analysis. And this software, it is like purely for editing and analyzing all the sort of data. And the data, it can be from anywhere, like scientific research or customer database or Google Analytics, or even for server log file or websites. Any data, it can be used for analyzing. And the file format which will be supported for this SPSS file is like spreadsheet in MS Excel, and plain text file, and relational SQL database, or stat or SAS data. But normally my recommendation will be like Excel. So it will be very useful if you have data first. Once you collect the data, you start entering in Excel and have it as a backup file. And with the help of Excel file, you can import the file into SPSS, and we can go for further analysis. So having a backup file, it is very much important when you are doing in a research. So this is the data view, how SPSS view it will be like. So I'll be showing you the SPSS window now. So this is SPSS window. We have two different views in SPSS. One is a data view, and it is variable view. Now we are seeing the variable view, and this is known as data view. This is how the data view it is. Like for example, how to enter a data here in the SPSS. Now you take a questionnaire. For example, I have taken a questionnaire with one second, I'll show this questionnaire. So hope questionnaire is visible now. So this is our questionnaire. It will be like I'm just measuring emotional intelligence of a person. Like I have personal data. All these are demographic questions like age, marital status, and so age, it is under nominal scale. Marital status, it is also in nominal scale. And if they have children, how much children, I want to know the exact children that they are having. So I have kept as a ratio scale. And this highest level of education, which has also been asked in the nominal scale. So here, if you could see, I have taken a structured questionnaire from Daniel Goleman. It is emotional intelligence questionnaire, which is developed and been validated by Daniel. So this question, like for measuring self-awareness, I have 6 questions. So it has been measured in the interval scale. Okay. So strongly agree, strongly disagree is 1, disagree is 2, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. We need to very conscious in giving the while giving this numbering, like 1, 2, 3. For example, few people will have a tendency of giving 1 for strongly agree. Okay, 1 for strongly agree and 2 for agree. So in that is the case, while entering a data or while we going for calculation, we need to have more conscious, like what result it is. We need to be more conscious. Whereas here, like if we give strongly disagree or disagree neutral, something like that, it shows the exact value, so that it will be easy for us to interpret the result in a better way. Okay, so my suggestion is strongly disagree, give 1, disagree 2, neutral 3, agree 4, and strongly agree as 5. Okay, so now I take this questionnaire. If I collected the questionnaire, how we need to enter it in a SPSS, that I'll let you know. So for example, go on data view. Okay, so here we need to take one respondent and we need to be entered in the row wise. Okay, like for example, first what I'll do, I'll be giving the questions which has been asked in the questionnaire. I'll be giving here. So in this is the name tab. So here the first question which I have asked is age. Okay, so once if you type age and if you give enter, automatically these columns, the rest of the columns, it will be filled automatically by the system itself. So first, the next thing is it is type. So what type of question that we have been going to type here? So either it is in a numeric or any other type of question that we need to see it. So this predominantly the questions which we gonna enter here, it is be like a numeric question. Sometimes if you have asked any text format question, you can use different types of text here. And this width, which represents the width of the column. Okay, how much, what is the width which is required for this particular column? If you want, you can increase, or if you want, you can decrease it. And this is about decimals, how much decimal it is required, as like 1.00 or 1.2, how much decimal, 1.000 or 1.2.1. If you need 3 more decimals after point, you can have it. So based on the requirement of your decimals, you can have it. And this label which represents, like you can put here what is the short form of your question. For example, I can type it as here as age. Okay, so even if you want, you can type as Q1, Q2, Q3, something which is for your representation. It just so whatever you're putting here in the label, once after you doing analysis, I go again, like in name, we type age. Okay, so once if you type age, the automatically the rest all the columns, it will be shown here. So this type, it is like numeric. If you want, if we are going to give data in a numeric form, we can give it as numeric. Normally we use only numeric data here in SPSS. Sometimes if you have any text data, you can also have it there by giving some other type here. And the width, it is just in a column width, how much width it is required for each and every column, that you can have it here. And decimal, it is for the numbers which we are going to enter in the data. And this label, it is nothing but you can give here the short form of your question, or it is for your representation. But see to it, whatever label which you gonna give here, it gonna be the heading for the table. Okay, so we need to see it to it. And this value, so this value, it is nothing but, so if we have asked in the nominal scale, okay, if we have asked in the nominal scale, we need to value here. For example, under age, I have 4 different categories. So I'm just numbering it. For example, if I type 1, the value, the label which is here is like less than 25 age. Okay, and I click add here, and for 2 it is 25 years to 30 years. I'm adding it, and for 3, 31 to 40, and for 4, more than 40. Okay, so this is how you need to enter the values, how much of whatever the numbering that you are going to give for nominal scale. For each and every question, it has to be entered here. So sometimes if I want to if I want to edit it, how can we do it? Like, if you just click this and you can find both the value and the label, it will be in the particular dialog box, it will be there. If you change it, if you do any particular change here, for example 35, I'm giving it, automatically the change option will be enabled so that you can give change here. Okay, so automatically it can be changed. Okay, so this is editable option which is there in the label. Okay, so once if you click OK, the values which we have given, it will be there here in this column, and missings that we'll do analysis separately. So once next question which I'm going to ask is, like, I have asked emotional intelligence questionnaire, right? So wait, I'll show you that emotional questionnaire now. So here I have an emotional intelligence questionnaire for self-awareness. So the first question which I have asked is, I'm well organized and able to judge my performance, moods and feelings, needs, strength and weakness. So what I'll do is, I need to take a short form out of this questionnaire so that you can put it in the label column. So in SPSS, here in the name, what I can put it, I can put as question number 1 or Q1, or whatever it is required, you can put it here. So once if it is done, in label column, I'm putting as judgment. I'm how much ever you are required, whatever the text which is required, you can give it here. So maybe Q1 you can give, or the short form of a question, whatever it is, you can give it here. So for this labeling, for 1, it means strongly disagree. Okay, and for 2 it is disagree. For 3 it is neutral, and for 4 it is agree, and for 5 it is strongly agree. I'm adding it, and if we click OK, it will be get added. For example, if I have 6 questions for one particular variable, if I have 6 questions for one particular variable, like this 6 question which is measuring the self-awareness of one particular person. So to measure the self-awareness, I'm having 6 questions. So if you have the same values, this labeling, if it is same, what you can do is you can just click on it, you can copy it, and you can paste it. Okay, no need to enter for all the questions. If we, for example, in certain questionnaire, we will be having 50 questions. So no need to sit and type for each and everything. If the values which you are giving, if it is same for rest of the questions, you can select it and you can copy it and you can paste it. Okay, so this is normally about the variable view. So once if you started finishing the variable view, so whatever question which is there in the questionnaire, you need to enter it in the variable view in such a manner. So once if it is done, I'm going for data view. In this data view, now I'm going to enter the questions, each and every respondents here. So I take first questionnaire. In that first questionnaire, the first person have ticked in the age group of less than 25. Okay, so I have assigned for the first is or 1. Okay, I've given the value as 1 for a particular age group. So I'm typing here 1 as 1. Okay, and for question number 1, they have given the answer is 2. Okay, they have given disagree, so I'm giving 2. Okay, and for question number 2 as 1. Hope you people understand me. Okay, so we need to enter one particular respondent in row wise, not in the column wise. We need to enter it in the column wise. Now I'm taking second person. The second person age group belongs to third category, and his opinion for first question is 4, and second question is 5, 3, 2, 3, and 2. Okay, so if it is we need to enter it by in a such a way. Okay, and so here it's an option called can you see value labels. Okay, so we need to see whether we have entered something which is correct or not. So if you click on it, it will be showing the values which you have given in the variable view. It will be shown here. Okay, for example, instead of 2 I've given as 6. Okay, just see here, the number we haven't valued there, so it shows it is like so that it is easy for us to understand, and easy for us to visualize the mistake which we have done. If it is very small data, it is okay to see it in the visualize, and even we have an analysis, so that it will be possible for us to rectify it. Okay, so this is just what to say, it helps us to see whether the values, whether it is changing or not. So if it is not changing, somewhere we have done a mistake. Okay, so this is how we need to enter the data in the SPSS, both in the variable view and in the data view. Okay, so once if you're done with the data entry, I'll show you. So this is how your total questionnaire data entry would be like. Okay, this is the variable view. So once if you enter it, this is how it will be, the full questionnaire, how it will be like. So I have shown just an example, and this is the full questionnaire data set. Okay, fine. So now we'll go with the basic requirement which is need to be done before we going for a data analysis. So the first thing is we need to know whether the data which we have entered is entered, or is there any missing data which is there that need to be identified. Okay, so I'll let you know how to identify the missing variables. First, before we going for a further analysis, the first important step which is required is missing data analysis. So it has to be done. So in analysis, we need to go for descriptive statistics. Okay, and in frequencies. Okay, I repeat it again. In analysis, SPSS window, in analysis, under descriptive statistics menu, we need to go for frequencies. Okay, once if it is done, this frequency dialog box, it will be appearing. The left panel, it shows the what are the question which is being mentioned in the variable view. Okay, so now I want to see, like I take example for few questions. Okay, so here can you people see in the SPSS window, in the data view, it is as SA1, SA2, but whereas in label I have given the questions in a short form. Okay, so whatever you giving in label, that will be shown in the table, in each and every table. So it is purely, it's your wish, however you want, you can able to give it in the label form. Okay, so now I'm taking this. Okay, just take this and click OK. Okay, and just click OK. The another window, it is called as output window. One second, I'll share this output window. this is output window. Here, whatever the analysis that which we do, the output will be given in a separate window. Okay, this is also particular to SPSS. So now here, if you could see this first thing, so this represents like what analysis that we have done. It is frequency, and where is the data set, okay, from where this SPSS data has been taken, that is also will be given in here in this output window. And this represents the first table. So here in the first table, can you see like age of the respondents, education qualification, and the question number 1. So the N is which represents the sample, and this valid, which means that these 140 valid respondents are there, and I have identified 7 missing values here. Okay, and I have identified we have 7 missing values. Okay, so I'll answer the questions little later. Is it fine? There are a few questions which is asked in chat box. I'll answer it as in the last of the session. Okay, so now once if you identify it, if there is a missing value in your questionnaire, what we need to do is we need to rectify those missing values. We need to identify it, and we need to carry out further analysis. Okay, so with the missing value, if you go for further analysis, the result, it will not be appropriate. And especially if you're going for SEM analysis and all, your data, it will not get run. What to say, the output, it will not be as accurate. Even the SPSS itself, it will not run if you have missing values. So now what I have done is I have identified the missing values. Now I'm going to rectify that. Okay, so even in the output window also, you can able to visible all the menus which is there in the SPSS as well. Okay, so both are integrated. SPSS window and output window are both are integrated. Now what I'm going to do is I want to replace the missing value. Okay, for that, please make a note of it. For that, we need to go to transform. Okay, we need to go to transform, replace missing values. There is an option called replace missing values. And before that, before going to this, you need to know which are all questions that you have got the missing values. You have to make a note of it on a piece of a paper. Then we need to go for it, transform and replace missing values. Okay, once if you've been going there, this replace missing value tab, it will be get opened. Okay, so from which I have found a missing value for age, and there is an education qualification missing value is there. And for first question, okay, for question number 1, there is a missing value. Okay, so select all those particular question and click this arrow. It will come into your right side pane and click OK. So once if it is done, okay, you will get this like missing value is being done. So from where we can able to identify the missing value, now we need to go to SPSS window. Okay, we need to go to SPSS window. I'll share you. And in this SPSS window, if you go to the last, okay, if you go to the last, we have new replaced missing value, new replaced variable will be there. So it will be showing with the proper 147, 148 data without any missing values. Can you find here? I'll show you. So in SA1 for first question, for 11th respondents, I have kept as a missing value. Okay, there is no value here. I've just kept as idle. Okay, I have not given any value. So same thing in for same 11th respondents, you can see here the value it has been changed as 4.1. So this is an automatic calculation which is done by the SPSS itself. On what basis? Is based on the average score for that particular whole question. Okay, it will calculate the average, and it will it is a separate calculation which is done by the SPSS itself, and it will replace the missing value as per the score which has been calculated. Okay, same way for age and education, it will be there. So it is very difficult for us, if we have n number of data, it is very difficult to identify the missing value by visual, by simply by seeing the eyes. It is not easy. So if we using this technique, so that we can able to identify the missing values, how much of a missing value is there, and we can able to replace that missing value based on the simple calculation which is done by the SPSS. So we are not, few people will be having a tendency, like if something which is not there, we will be just putting the value as we wish. Okay, நம்ம சும்மா வேணும்னே ஒரு 4 னு போட்டுக்கலாம், because nothing is been there, so I can type as a 4. So that we can't do it in a research. Even or chinna chinna, even small things it will be having a impact on our data. For example, of 1 or 2 or data, if there is a missing value, it is not much impacted. But if you see n number of, for example, in 140 data, if there are amount of 20 to 30 missing data is there, and it will surely it will affect on, it will be having an impact on your results. So instead of putting the values just like that, we can have this as a replace missing value as a separate calculation method, so that we can justify that it is a proper way of doing replacing the missing value. Okay, so hope you have understood this. Okay, so this is the first method of cleaning your data. Okay, this is called cleaning the data. So for further analysis, what you have to do is, you should not consider the age, education and question number 1 of the old one. You need to consider only these new data for your further analysis. You should not consider that old one. Okay, so next what we'll see is percentage analysis, like frequency table. So that is like in the analysis tab, descriptive statistics and in frequencies. Okay, so if you just click reset for whatever things which we have done, it will be automatically there. So if you just click reset, it will be like a new window it will be showing. So you can select appropriate, whatever it is required, you can go for it variable. For example, I need age and education qualification. So what I've done is, I'm taking the missing value calculated variable. So I'm taking with that, I'm just clicking it OK. Okay, so now if you could see, there is no missing value and total valid respondent is 147. Okay, so here this is the frequency table. Okay, this shows how much person are there for each and every category. Here there is a mistake. See here, it shows 1 2 3 4. Okay, and we haven't valued for example, wait, I hope the output it is not visible. Yes, hope it is visible now. So now this is how the valid is 147 and there is no missing data. So this is the frequency table which is here. Here if you could see, we have only the numbers here. It is not as shown as the normal scale. For example, the categories of age or categories of education, it is just shown as a number here. So what we need to do is, we need to label it again. Okay, for the replaced values. Okay, so for which I need to go for SPSS window. For C here, for age there is no values which has been given. For education also no values which has been given. So what I'm doing is, I'm taking this, I'm copying it and I'm pasting it here. Sorry. Okay, you can copy and paste it. No need to type it again. So it will be easy for you to do it. And for this is for And second important thing, this decimals. Okay, so for example, you see it in output, we have valued for only 1, 2, 3, and 4. We haven't valued for 2.36. Okay, so this 2.36, which is based on the uh, replacement missing value, which has been calculated by the SPSS. So since we have given decimal as 2 in SPSS, it is since we have given decimal in SPSS in the variable view, it is showing as 2.36. So what we can do is we can reduce this decimal into as 0. Why? Because we can't give like 2.36 also this category, we can't able to give it. So you can reduce this decimal and as a 0. Okay, and now if you go for calculation of your percentage, it will be showing you analysis, descriptive statistics, and frequencies. Okay, I'm resetting it again. I'm selecting the variable which is needed for percentage analysis, and I'm just clicking it. Okay, fine, but still it shows 2. Okay, so you'll be getting the outputs. One second, I'm sharing it. Okay, so you can have the percentage analysis in such a way. So once if it is value replacing is done, you can have percentage analysis. So now we have seen how we need to calculate replace missing value, how we need to go for percentage analysis, that we have seen. Now we'll go for mean and standard deviation. Okay, so this mean and standard deviation, which we will do um, only for Likert scale. Okay, few people will be having few people will do mean and standard deviation for age um, uh, or income, something like that. But normally for interval scale alone, we need to go for mean and standard deviation. Even if you have applied ratio scale, you can go for mean and standard deviation. Okay, that is fine. So for calculating mean and standard deviation, we need to go through analysis, in descriptive statistics, and in descriptives. Okay, so here I'll be doing mean and standard deviation for the interval scale items. Okay, just select one particular question and just put it in here. So this is the output of descriptive statistics. Okay, from where here we can see, like, question number 1, the sample size is 140 and the minimum value is 2 and maximum is 5. Okay, for example, in questionnaire we have interval scale of 1 to 5 ratings, but here no people among the 140 respondents, no people have taken no people have responded for 1. Okay, which is like strongly disagree. Only they have given all the 140 respondents, they average it will be started from 2 to 5. It is not varying from 1. Okay, so this mean, which represents 4.16, which represents from the average of 2 to 5, the 4.16. So hardly we can take it as agree. Okay, for 4-point scale we have mentioned as agree, so hardly we can take it as out agree. Sorry, wait, I share the output once again. Hope the output it is visible. Yes. So the minimum the number of sample is 140, the minimum is 2 and maximum is 5. The mean value is 4.16. So 4.16, which represents in the scale, we have given agree for 4. Okay. So for the statement 1 and the self-awareness for first statement, the average, the all 140 people, they are agreeing it. So if we have got score which is 2.16, ultimately which shows that it is disagreeing. Okay, if it is 1.1 something, which means strongly disagreeing it. So this is how the mean value is, which represents the average of the 140 respondents towards this one particular question. So that is known as mean. And standard deviation is how much they are being deviated from the mean value that is being given. It will be represented. The interpretation from the standard deviation is how much they have been deviated from the mid value. So that is known as standard deviation. Mean, which represents the average of one particular question of all the respondents. Okay, so hope you people have got the interpretation, how to interpret in the descriptive statistics. Hope it is clear. So now this is for analyzing the mean value for each and every individual questions. Okay, each and every individual. But what I need is, for example, I'm measuring the self-awareness in to measure the self-awareness, I have 6 questions. Okay, so I want the mean value for whole one particular variable. So in that is the case, what can be done? Okay, so we have an option called computing variable, where what I will do is, wait, I'll share the screen. So I need the mean for the whole self-awareness scale. Okay, for this whole self-awareness scale, I need the mean value. So what we can do is, we can compute the whole 6 questions respondents all together, and we can run the mean and standard deviation. So this represents the mean and standard deviation for one particular subfactor. Okay, so which I have run earlier, it is for one particular item, which is like for self-awareness first question alone, I have run the for mean and standard deviation. If I want to know the whole set of variable, all 6 questions together, what is the mean and standard deviation value? So in that is the case, what we have to do is, I'll let you know. I'll repeat this analysis for descriptive statistics for mean and standard deviation. I'll repeat it again. Now, what we need to do is for computation. Okay, so transform compute variable. Okay, from the variable transform and compute variable. Here in the target variable, we need to give the variable name. We need to give the variable name. Okay, the main important thing is here, space or special characteristics will not be accepted. So in the target variable, we need to give only alpha or numeric. Okay, no special characteristics or space, it will be taken for consideration. Okay, so what I'm doing is, I'm adding first 6 question. Okay, so I'm selecting the first question from the left pan, and I'm just clicking this arrow. So if you could see, this first question will be coming into the right pan, and adding by giving plus, and it adds. Okay, and second question, and this arrow, and third question, this arrow, and fourth question, and fifth question and sixth question. Okay, hope you understood. You have to select each and every question once. Okay, you have to click on the first question, that you have to click that arrow and click plus. Okay, so I'm repeating it again. This target variable, it will allow only alpha and numeric. It will not accept any special characteristics or space. Okay, so we need to be very much conscious in that. So once if it is done, you have to click OK. Okay, then each and every syntax, which we are doing, it will be shown in the output as well. Okay, so now if you could see, at the last you can find self-awareness. Okay, self-awareness, this is the whole computed score. Okay, this is the whole computed score for one particular subfactor. Okay, to measure emotional intelligence, I'm having 3 different variables: self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-motivation, something like that. So for measuring self-awareness, I have 6 questions. What we have done is we have added all the 6 questions together, computed score here. Okay, so at the whatever we do, all the new values, it will be given on the last of the data view. Okay, so now I'm going to run the descriptive statistics for this computed score. Okay, I repeat it. Now you can see someone have asked what is the procedure for, repeat the procedure for descriptive statistics. Please listen: analysis, descriptive statistics, and descriptives. Okay, analysis, descriptive statistics, and descriptive statistics. So here I'm taking this self-awareness computed score and I'm clicking is OK. Okay, this is how the output it shows. So the minimum is 15, the value, the computed value minimum is 15 and maximum is 30, and the average is 23, and standard deviation is 3.427. Okay, so the ranging is 15 to 30. So based on the range, you can interpret what is the interpretation of 23. So it is purely based on your scale. Okay, how much of a question that you have. So how this 15 has come, like for example, we have 5-point scale. So minimum is 1 and maximum is 5. So here that will be calculated of all together. Okay, here that is the range, that minimum and maximum range, it will be there, and for that you will be having the mean score. So you can interpret based on the minimum and maximum value for this mean and standard deviation as well, as I represent of one particular variable here, and standard deviation is how much is being deviated from the mid value, that is known as standard deviation. Okay, as of now I'll be holding here. Any people are having any doubt, let us clarify here. Ram, is it okay that people can put questions in chat box, so that for a few minutes I can clarify that and we'll go for further analysis. So how to save output window? So output window, same as like file, you can save this output window, save as option will be there. Just click on the save and you can give your where you need to be saved, you can save it. Okay, and you can copy this table. So if you select this table, it is easy for us to copy it. You can copy it and you can directly paste it into the Word document, so that you can have it as a table, as a report. Okay, you can copy this as well. And if you could save this output, it is easy for you to identify from where this file has been taken and what are the variables that has been considered for this analysis. For example, I have done a compute variable. So you could see here, this is known as syntax. So you could see here, compute self-awareness. I have added all these 6 questions, and I have done a descriptive statistics of mean and standard deviation I've done. So this syntax, it shows what are the analysis, what are the steps that we have carried out here. So it is easy for to understand. If later, if you're going and referring it, it is easy for us to understand what are the steps that we have done for this one particular analysis. Okay. So how to identify 7 missing value there in the one second. I'll commit. So what is the reason we have to calculate cumulative and mean and standard deviation? For example, if I'm doing it for one particular, for example, in my question, I have for my PhD questions, I have around 86 questions. Okay, so my PhD, like for independent variable are around 30 to 40 questions, and for dependent variable, I have 2 dependent variable and I have 30 questions. So think of it, if I'm going for mean and standard deviation for 30 questions altogether. So if you want to, it is purely based on your objective, or it is purely based on your requirement of your study. So if you really want, you can go for each and every item mean and standard deviation. Or if I want to know the mean value for the particular variable, instead of having single item, if you want to know the value for whole particular variable, so you can go further. So that is the reason why we are having the cumulative mean and standard deviation. It is purely based on your interest and your objective. Okay. And how to write inference, that is what I have shown. I have told you, ma'am. For mean, what is the value based on the minimum and maximum, you can represent the mean value, and standard deviation, how much it is being deviated from the mid value. So that is the and I have shown the output for how to save the output. And format of file output, it is the file format with the output, it will be saved as .sav, that is SPSS output file only it will be saved. Unless and until you have SPSS, you can't open the file. Only if you have SPSS in any of the desktop or laptop, you can open the output file. Okay, so without having any output file, SPSS file, you can't open it. And each output to be saved, it is purely your wish, sir. If you want, you can copy the table alone and you can post it in the Word file, and you can keep it as in a separate report format. Or if you really need the output file for further references, you can save it. Or otherwise, you can save individually, or each and every individual file you can save it. Or for all analysis you are running together, it will be there in the one output file. If you closing once the output file, the second output file will be open for further analysis. So how much ever it is required, you can save your output file. And how to identify 7 missing values there in the questionnaire, that is what I've told you now, ma'am. If we do missing value calculation, we can see these 7 missing values. It shows the number. So if you want to see the numbers in the data view, if in SPSS in the data view, you have to scroll down and you have to see where it has been the value it is not mentioned. Or you can go for control find option, and you can just click the what to say, that hyphen button. If you click on it, it will identify the 7 missing values. It's just a number that we can identify in the output file. If you want to see it in the where in the which respondents, if it has been missed, you have to go to data view and you have to sit and search it in from there. Okay. And reliability test, yes ma'am, I will carry out here. What is the shortcuts to view the output? So only if you do analysis, the output window, it will be opened. Okay, once the moment you open the SPSS, the output window is opened. So once if you do analysis work, that output will be shown in the output window. So there is no any particular shortcuts. The moment you use moment you open SPSS, the output window, it will be opened all together with the SPSS file. And how to paste the output window in the thesis or in the research article. It is just simple. You can click that. I'll show you. So I'm doing analysis. Sorry. Okay. So you just click this box. You could see whether you could see there is an output box which is being done. When you click on that particular box, you can copy it, and you can go to Word document. You can go to Word document, and you can paste it by clicking just Control V. If you paste it, it is very simple, as like you can paste it here. Okay. Fine. So we have done the pasting. In adding missing values, for example, age, if it is taken in average and it comes 1.75, so how to take it, sir? Sir, as far as age is concerned, yes, because it will be calculated based on the mean value. Since it is SPSS software, it is just a system where we'll be giving the data, and it will be calculated and it will be given. So it doesn't know that age or gender value. Even you have asked for age, think of it for gender. We'll be giving two options, 1 and 2, and it will take average and it will shows 1.86 or something. So we can't able to predict as of like that. That is the reason why we can reduce the decimal or consider that as a 2 or 1, something which is like that. So 1.75, that is the case, you can consider the second option. Okay, for the nominal scale which you have given, second option you can consider. Normally just applying our logical mathematics, 1.5, if it is any value which is more than 0.5, we'll consider the next value. So in such a way you can consider that. Okay, informative session, excellent class, more than the real class, interpretation idea in SPSS. Ma'am, you can get interpretation ideas in SPSS. A lot of sources which is available in net. Condenser, you have a lot of sources which is also available here in the SPSS. At the last, I will share my I'll share you how to base thing for interpretation. So one second, how to identify this variable ins for mean analysis, and this for descriptive likewise. Gokila ma'am, it is like it is how to identify mean and standard. For example, if you are going for interval scale, any metric data, either ratio or interval scale, we can go for mean and standard deviation. If we have asked in percentage or nominal scale, you have to go for percentage analysis. So that is the basic method. Okay, Likert scale 1 to 5 point scale or ratio scale, you have to go for um, a mean and standard deviation. If you have asked question in nominal, you can go for percentage. Nothing much difference, ma'am. David Raj, sir, explain about D scale. What is the D scale, sir? I don't understand. I'll share the contact details, and we need to enter the response of questionnaire one by one, or there any other way to export all from Excel? Yeah, we have an option called by exporting from the Excel. It has also been done. I'll explain you how to do it and how to calculate Cronbach alpha for reliability test, sir. Yes, I will let you know. Is there any difference between analyzing the mean value or R significance value of other tests like TEF, MANOVA regression exam? Please explain. The calculation for ANOVA or mean separate mean, as per my understanding, Pugal sir, as per my understanding, the calculation part will be same for mean and standard deviation, whereas in all the other ANOVA, t-test or f-test, and here in the mean and standard deviation, a step further in TF and ANOVA or MANOVA, something like that, where they will do calculation with the help of this mean score. For example, if we need to identify whether the significant difference it is there or not, so it will be calculated further based on the mean value. Okay, so there is a difference. Mean and standard deviation is totally different, and ANOVA and MANOVA, it has been calculated based on the mean and standard deviation. Hope I have explained. Google sir, any doubt, please let me know. Parametric and non-parametric test will be taken. Yes, Rami, they will be taken. So as a situation hypothesis testing will be based on mean. For mean, we don't have any hypothesis. Mean and standard deviation, normally we don't go for any hypothesis. Only for t-test, z-test, ANOVA, parametric and non-parametric, and correlation and regression, only we will be having hypothesis. We don't have any mean and standard deviation. We don't have any hypothesis. Yes, I'll share my contact details as well. For coding of data, is there reverse numbering for Likert scale is must? Yes, very important, Abdul sir. It is very important to have if you have reverse order question. For example, I'll explain you reverse order question. In a questionnaire, for example, we need to identify whether the question it has been purely read by the respondents and it is being given respondents or not. What we can do, we have a strategy called reverse order questioning. For example, if I'm questioned, there is I'm totally satisfied with the service rendered by Annapurna Hotel. Okay, I repeat the question. I'm satisfied with the service rendered by Annapurna Hotel. So this is the normal question. Okay, where I'll be having a 5-point Likert scale. Think of it in the reverse order question. I'm totally dissatisfied with the service rendered by Annapurna Hotel. So this is known as reverse order question. I'm asking in a negative way, but if I'm totally satisfied, I need to get strongly disagree for reverse order question. Okay, so if you're having certain reverse order questions in the questionnaire, it is easy to identify whether the respondents have really read the questionnaire and given the respondents or not. So we can have reverse order question. So when you are going for reverse order question in SPSS, we also having a separate option called in the reversing the question. Okay, for one you need to I will explain you that also now. Okay, reliability and reverse order question that I will explain you. For coding, kindly share the for coding if reverse order. Yes, that is done. Ma'am, Sabri, the video it will be shared. How to normalize the data by using log values. So normality that will explain you. Various scales I have already explained in the PPT. For minimum and maximum number of hypotheses in testing, so it is purely based on your objective, sir. It is not particular to like how much high power. It is purely based on your objective. So now we'll carry forward further. Now I'll show you how to do reverse order questions. Okay. So for example, as I said, I'm a normal question which we ask, strongly agree, disagree, a normal question like I'm totally satisfied with the service rendered by Annapurna Hotel. In reverse order question, I have asked, I'm totally dissatisfied with the service rendered by Annapurna Hotel. But in that is a case, one has to be, the respondent one has to be 5, and 2 has to be 4, 3 has to be 3, and 4 has to be 2, and 5 has to be 1. So it is purely, it has to be in a reverse order. So if you have any reverse order question, you have an option called recoding it into a same variable. For example, in the transform, for reverse order questions, I'm telling you, in the transform, they have option called recode into same variable. If you just select it, it will ask for which question has to be replaced. So you have to select one particular question. Which question is a reverse order question? You have to select the reverse order question alone, I'm telling you. Okay, select that particular question and put it in the right side panel. Value. Okay, if you click on it, for example, in the reverse order question, the old value is 5 and the new value is 1. Okay, I'm clicking it, add, and if it is old value is 4, the new value which is 2. Okay, add it. And for 3, there is no change in the old and new value. And in 4, sorry, 2, it is 4 here, and for 1, it is 5 here. So this is how the old value and what will be the new value, you have to add it. And if you just click continue, and you have to click OK. Okay, so the recoding, it will be done. So what I have done is I've given recode into same variable. Okay, so this is the first question which I have done. Recode into same variable. It will recode the value here itself. Okay, if you want, it has to be as a separate variable instead of changing in the same column. You can give recode into different variable. So which will it will appear at the last of the data view. Okay, if you give it in the recode into same variable, there is no much difference. If you need both the values separately, you can have it at the last, giving as in a different variable. And if you can replace it in the same panel itself, it is no issues. You can give it as a recode into same variable, so that the reverse order question, it will be recoded, and you can take this question, this output as for further analysis. Okay, so this is for recoding. As someone have asked for reliability test, for reliability, I will let you know. The reliability Cronbach alpha, it can be done only for Likert scaled items. Okay, we should not do reliability test for any nominal scale data and all. We have to go through only for Likert scale item. So in analysis, I'm telling you the method for reliability. In analysis, under scale, reliability analysis there. I repeat it, under analysis tab, scale and reliability analysis. So if you click on it, a reliability analysis window, it will be get opened. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting the interval scale questions alone. I repeat it again, interval scale questions alone. I'm not going for any nominal scale questions. I'm going only for interval scale questions. Okay. Okay, I'm just selecting the interval scale questions alone. I'm clicking this arrow, so it will be move on to the items. Okay, and see to it, in model you have alpha. Okay, just select the alpha button and click OK. Fine. So in the output window, you could see the reliability statistics, the Cronbach alpha value. So it shows what is the value for Cronbach alpha, and what is the how much number of items that you have calculated for Cronbach alpha. So this Cronbach alpha, it has to be minimum required. It has to be more than 0.5. Okay, but it is well and good if you have more than 0.7. Okay, so if it 0.8, it is highly satisfied. It has been very good, and very good result. So which shows that the reliability for that particular question, it is accurate. Okay, if you have value which is more than 0.7, which is you can consider this instrument as a reliable one. I repeat it again, how to calculate it: analysis, scale, reliability analysis. Here you have to select all the interval scale items alone. Please note, only for interval scale items alone. Just select the question and click this arrow, it will come here. And if you click OK, you will be getting this output. You can take this output for further analysis. On your report, you can have it this reliability. Okay, fine. So this is for reliability. So next, what we're gonna see is, okay, so crosstab, it is nothing but when we use crosstab is if we want to know how much people are there in two different questions. I want to know the numbers of two different questions. For example, a person in self-awareness, first question, how much gender have answered for all the different variables. If you all different categories, if you want to know, we can use crosstab. For which analysis, I'm telling you the method: analysis, descriptive statistics, and crosstab. Okay, analysis, descriptive statistics, and crosstab. So I'm just giving here like age in one row, and the first question, for example, in the column. Okay, I'm just giving it, and by clicking OK, you will get the output here. Okay, I repeat it again: analysis, descriptive statistics, and crosstab. You have to select one question in row and another question in column. Even you can put a number of questions, that is okay. So if you put one by one, so that it will be easy for you to interpret in a separate box. Okay, so this is the output of crosstab. So here in the crosstab, if you could see, I've compared two questions: the self-awareness question 1 and the age group. So here it shows the each and every category, how much people have responded in the each and every category. For example, below 25 years, how much people? 16 people have responded as for strongly disagree, and for 6 people from disagree, neutral 6, and there is no one from agree. So this represents, like, this shows the number of respondents have responded for one particular question. So for certain questions in marketing or certain questions in behavioral finance, if we use this crosstab, it will be easy for us to identify. It is easy for us to identify how much respondents belongs to this particular category. So based on this interpretation, we can go for findings or suggestions, something like that. For example, I'm telling, I recognize how my feelings affect my performance. So if you could see, 25 years, they are strongly disagreeing it because their feelings, it doesn't affect their performance. But whereas in 19 people from the age of 25 years to 30, they are also stating that it is disagreeing. So whereas here in the 31 to 35 people, they are little more considered, where it is slightly disagreeing. So where their performance is not get affected because of their feelings. So this is how you have to take the interpretation from the crosstab. Okay, fine. So anything else has to be done? Hope you have understood for the crosstab reliability.
Gautam sir.
Hello, Ram.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Ah,
Have you finished, sir?
yeah. It is done. It is done. Cross tab it is over. Reliability is over. Only thing I need to explain is uh, the Excel file. The Excel file. Okay. So as I said, if you people have data which has already been entered in Excel file, how to import it, I'll let you know. Okay. So for example, I'll just pause for a second. I'll open the file, Excel file. I'll just pause for a second. Okay, few minutes. Yes, hope this Excel file it is visible now. So this is the master data. Okay, this is where I have typed my all the data in Excel file, and I'm keeping it. So now we go to SPSS. Okay, now we go to SPSS. In the file menu, click open and select data. Okay, I repeat, in file, click open and select data. Okay. So from where you can open the, you have to open the file location, change the file type as Excel, so that you will be having the Excel files. Okay, you will be seeing the Excel files. Okay, and click open. You will be asked for which sheet. Okay. Okay, you will be asked for which sheet of data it need to be exported or it need to be imported. So you have to select the sheet, one particular sheet, and you have to click OK. So once if it is done, just wait for a few minutes. It will automatically import the data from Excel. Okay, this is how you need to be imported from the Excel. The only thing is the data view alone, it will be imported. In variable view, we need to give the values and labels. Okay, we need to give the values and for each and every question, and labels also it has to be done. So it is pretty easier if you have a backup data file in Excel, so that it will be easy for you to import it again, or whenever it is required, you can go and refer. So the main important work is giving the values and giving the label for each and every question. Once after importing it, this has to be done later. Fine. Hope I've cleared this as well. Yes, Ram, I've done with it.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Any questions? Any questions is here?
Actually, you have cleared all the question in between. That
Yes.
actually only one more question is there from Kogila ma'am. So can you suggest whether we enter the data in Excel or XPSS? So which one is best? Whether enter
Which
XP?
one is best? I could tell like it is more important to go with Excel. Okay, have a backup file, and then you can import it from to the SPSS. So even if you can directly enter the data in SPSS as well, but see to it you have a SPSS. You have a backup file of SPSS or Excel, whichever it is. See to it you have a backup file. Okay, and why do we do reliability test? Mahalakshmi ma'am, it is most important thing for being doing an PhD or dissertation. So why if we are taking a questionnaire and if we are doing a model and regression analysis or further analysis, the most important thing for this particular study is reliability and validity. For any study, if you do, reliability and validity is most important. Unless and until your questionnaire is reliable and valid, your data will not be considered for further generalization of results. Okay, so reliability, it is more important for carrying out further. For example, in self-awareness, I have measured 6 questions. I've kept 6 questions. How do I come to know whether these 6 questions is very reliable to measure the self-awareness of each and every individual? That we can't able to know. So this is one of the statistical method where we can able to see whether the reliability it is there, the data which we have collected is reliable for further analysis. And the second important thing is validity. So first validity has to be done, next only reliability has to be done. So validity, it is like whether these 6 questions is exactly measuring the self-awareness, that has to be taken care. So validity and reliability is most important for each and every research part. Even if you do simple research for a paper, it is most important to go for reliability and validity. Okay, so meanwhile I need to share one thing, just a minute. So this is my, you can you can citation my thesis, research thesis. Even I have published my research thesis as a book format. I have mentioned here the ISBN number and as well. And in Shodhganga, if you could see, you can find my thesis which is there in Shodhganga. I'll post this citation and as well as a link. You can go and refer my thesis, and you can do citation of my work for your further in your research work. So this will be like even I have you can find the references. Even I have given a lot of references in my thesis, so that it will be useful for you people to show it. Okay, so I'll put my citations here. So this is the link I have shared here. This link is where you can find my doctoral thesis in Shodhganga. So you can cite me, and you can put reference in my there. The normality, even for normality, I think normality has to be done. Ram Kumar, yes, I think.
Sir? Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Normality has to be done, right? Is it covered tomorrow, or should I go for it?
Actually, it is not covered tomorrow, sir. If you have
Okay, okay.
time, please clarify.
Yeah, I think 15 minutes time is there. I'll go
Yes,
for
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now I'll go for normality test. So it is another important thing for a research work. Okay, normality. Um, so normality, it is nothing but where the data which we have collected, it is normally being distributed. In research methodology, we would have studied about normality. So unless based on the normality only, you will be going to finalize which test you need to use it. For example, either you go for parametric or non-parametric. Okay, so if your data it has been normally distributed, you can go for parametric test, and if your data is not normally distributed, you can go only for non-parametric test. And we have a myth like using of non-parametric test is not so valid for a thesis or dissertation. As for my understanding and as per my knowledge, I could say like there is in that is the case why a lot of statisticians have identified such non-parametric method, and they have given us in a book, and so we are teaching students about non-parametric test as well. So it is not so bad that we go for non-parametric test. It is okay, but there is a myth like if you are using non-parametric test, it is not considered as a valid results. So it is not like that. Both parametric or non-parametric, you can use it, no issues. It is purely based on your data distribution. If your data is being distributed normally, you can go for parametric. If your data is not distributed normally, you can go for non-parametric. So I'm telling you how to go for normality test. So there is a test called Shapiro test. It is a test of normality. Okay. So here in analysis, in descriptive statistics, you have to go for 1 second. Yes, analysis, descriptive statistics, and explore. Okay, analysis, descriptive statistics, and explore. This is for test of normality. Okay, if you go for it, this normality test has to be done only for Likert scale items. Okay, you select the interval scale, and this normality has to be done separately for independent variable, and it has to be done separately for dependent variable. It should not be combined both together. Okay, it has to be done separately. How much of a variable that you are having in your thesis, in your research, it has to be done separately. So you have to select the particular question and put it in the dependent list, and in plots, in the plots tab, you have to check the normality plot with test. Okay, I'm repeating it. In plots tab, you have to select this normality plot with test, and you have to click continue. Okay, and finally, if you click OK, the output, it will be shown here. Okay, so this is the output of normality. Yes, so there is a output called test of normality. Kolmogorov, Cimbrio, and Shapiro-Wills test. So this is the test of normality. So it shows the each and every questions whether it has been normally distributed or not. Okay, so for this test, this significant value has to be more than 0.05. 0.05. I'm repeating it. For this normality test, the value has to be more than 0.05. Only if this significance value, if it is more than 0.05, we can confirm that our data is normally distributed, or otherwise it is not normally distributed. Okay, so but I'm telling you, for social science research, not only for social science research, normally we'll get only this significant value as 0.0, which is be less than 0.05. Why? Because it is purely based on our respondents. If you could see the respond which is given by the respondents, which will not be, we can't able to predict that they have gone through the questions and they have given it. Okay, we don't know it. Okay, simply they would have ticked, or simply they would have given the respondent just like that. So it also get effect in the normality. So if there is a theorem called in research methodology, if you could refer Kothari book, if you could refer C.R. Kothari book, there is a theorem called central limit theorem. Okay, in that central limit theorem, it has been stated that if our sample size is higher, the how much ever the sample which we are taking much, the data, it will be distributed normally. The higher the sample, the lesser the error. Okay, so that is what the central limit theorem it shows. So if we are concentrating on more sample, we can have the distribution is much more. But this test of normality, Kolmogorov-Shapiro test, this test, it will be applicable only for smaller sample sizes. Okay, it will not be applicable for large sample. It will be applicable only for smaller sample size. So what we can do is, we can test this normality, and if you are getting the result as you expect, you can go for it. Or otherwise, we have another suggestion. It is like, one, you can quote central limit theorem. Second, you can go for testing the skewness and kurtosis. Okay, skewness and kurtosis. It is just the breadth and the height of the normal distribution curve. Okay, even here itself, it will be in this. For each and every question, in this descriptive statistics, and in this question, there will be something called skewness and kurtosis. Okay, so this has to be plus or minus 2.58, which has to be less than plus or minus 2.58. Okay, if it is there as represented, so that you can justify that your data is normally distributed. If your skewness and kurtosis is as within the prescribed limit, you can justify that your result is data normally distributed, even not considering this test of normality. Okay, you can cite me, you can refer my thesis. In my research methodology, I have I've mentioned there, I've stated all the central limit theorem, and as well as about the skewness and kurtosis in my thesis. You can cite my thesis, so that and even if you can take references in my thesis, and you can refer, you will be having a valid reasons for quoting the central limit theorem and about the skewness and kurtosis. Okay, I'm telling you, it purely depends on based on your understanding, your guide's understanding, like that. If this test of, by considering this test of normality itself, and if you're going for non-parametric test, it is well and good, no issues. Okay, and certain people and certain guide will ask you to go for only parametric test. Even in that is the case, if your data is not normally distributed, and you can consider skewness and kurtosis as a justifying variable for your normality, and you can go for parametric test. That is also applicable. So it is up to you which one to take. Okay.
Okay.
So
thank you so much, Gautam sir.
Thank you so much, Ram.
No
Any questions?
are there? I think you have cleared all the questions. Okay, Nagaleshwari ma'am, HOD sir is on another meeting. You can proceed, ma'am, now.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So we are so pleasure to have you with today's session, sir. Amidst of your busy schedule, you're being with us. We all are so happy to learn many things from you, sir. And SPSS is a broad area. A part of SPSS we learned today. You explained in a well manner. Such an informative sessions for us, sir. I hope all of them benefited with this workshop. And gratitude, make a sense of your past, bring the peace for today, and create a vision for tomorrow. For that, now I would like to invite Mr. M. Ramkumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to show his sincere gratitude by his words.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Chairman, Vice President, Vice Chancellor, Registrar, respected Head of the Department, Dr. G. Ramesh Pandey, our most valued invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education and the entire team of Kalasalingam Business School, Commerce Department, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to your speaker for gracing your important work and sharing with us your findings and opinions today. A big thank you to Dr. V. Gautam Raj for his efforts towards SPS. We could easily understand about data management, data handling, descriptive statistics, normality tests, and cross steps. We are all cleared about SPSS by your explanation, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Ram.
Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record my hearty thanks to Dr. G. Ramesh Pandey, Associate Professor, for his wonderful inaugural address, Dr. S. Rani, Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, for her fabulous welcome address, and Dr. R. Selvakumar, Associate Professor, for introducing Chief Guest with his warm words. I also extend my thanks to our faculty members for their enormous cooperation in the organizing of this event. Finally, participants, without you, we cannot make this event successful. Thank you so much for your support. Last but not least, I especially thanks Ms. P. Nagalakshmi for making this event more successful. And finally, I thank Almighty for the success of this event. Thank you so much, all. Once again, I thank you very much for all the participants.
Thank you, Ram Kumar. I thank management and all the higher officials of Kalasalingam Institution for giving me such an opportunity to teach through webinar, to share my knowledge which I have gained from various institutions and attending a lot of FDPs. So I hope I have done justice for what it has been required. So I thank all of you for giving this opportunity and for your patient listening. I have posted my channel, YouTube channel link as well. You can subscribe the channel as well. There are few videos which has already been available there for analysis. Further also, I will be posting a lot of videos in the SPSS regarding SPSS. So thank you so much, Ram Kumar, for inviting me. And it's my pleasure to be meeting you all. Thank you so much. And